Welcome back to the Morning Show here on Arise News. Well, joining us now to review some of the headlines of today's newspapers from around the world is Arise News analyst Ohi Odiai. Good morning, Ohi. Great to have you.
Good morning, Adeswa. Good morning, Dr. Abati.
Good to have you back on the Morning Show.
Yes, after that very interesting session on Edo State.
Our state.
Your state.
Our state too.
Our state.
The heartbeat of the nation.
Well,
let's move on straight to...
That heart is having...
it's having some palpitations.
It needs medical attention.
Let's move on to these day newspapers, talking about also trying to reconciliation. We just talked about the Shomole and Obaseki. This time around, the top headline these day newspapers today says, Northern elders set up committee to reconcile Ganduje and Sanusi. According to the These Day report, a committee made up of 10 members, headed by a former head of state, General Abdulsalami Abubakar, with a former head of service, Dr. Adamu Fika, as secretary, has been put together to reconcile the governor of Kano State, Ganduje, and the emir of Kano, Alhaji Muhammadu Sanusi II. Doctor, another reconciliation in place. This has been on for a while.
Yes, you know, when originally the governor of Kano State, Ganduje, decided to create 4 extra emirates, and that led to a lot of tension. One of the, intervention points was Nigerians saying, why would the elders of the North just keep quiet? Why was there no intervention on their part to make sure that Kano, which is a very important commercial, historical, and religious center, in Nigeria's geopolitics, why would they just stand by, fold their arms, and allow this brewing conflict between the governor and the emir of Kano to occur? But eventually, it took the intervention of the chairman of the Governors Forum and others to resolve the problem. And the governor and the emir held a meeting, and the tension went down. But it was therefore surprising to see the governor still going ahead, even after the court had declared, the approval of those emirates, illegal and unconstitutional. That the governor will again just bring up the matter, go back and take the matter back to the State House of Assembly, and in a very suspicious manner, the bill was passed almost quickly, as if, this was a done deal, this was a case of the legislature being manipulated. So I think Governor Ganduje's desperation looks really, really suspicious. And it is the kind of desperation that could further heighten tension, considering the fact, again, that state government had issued queries severally to the emir of Kano. He was accused of mismanaging palace funds at one point, yes. And he made it clear that he was not in charge. He was not in charge of managing palace funds. Then the governor again looked for another way to wrong-foot the emir. He decided to make him the chairman of the Emirates Council in Kano State, and he was required to call a meeting. Now, he didn't call the meeting. He was given a query and given a deadline within which he was required to call a meeting. Otherwise, he will be deposed. And then the state government issued a statement that they had received, requests, calls, that the emir of Kano should be deposed. Now, who was making those calls? We did not know. We were told NGOs, some non-governmental organizations, which may really be unregistered, maybe non-existent, fictitious, sponsored, ill-motivated. So I think it's good that, Northern elders are intervening, and it's interesting to see General Abdulsalami Abubakar leading the team. You will recall that General Abdulsalami Abubakar, since about 2014 or thereabouts, had been running this peace initiative, through which he intervenes at critical moments. And that, committee led by him, has always pushed the agenda that, peace, reconciliation, and understanding, across all kinds of categories is the best way for Nigeria to go. We hope they will succeed, and that Governor Ganduje will stop behaving like a China in the bull shop. Whatever explanation he offers about history, about, precedents, he's not going about it in the proper manner. True. And given the strategic importance of Kano State and Kano, itself, I think the security agencies, National Security Advisor, Babagana Munguno, and the other security agencies should see that, this should be an issue of particular concern, to security agencies, because you can't afford to have Kano imploding.
Yes.
There will be national security implications.
Well, I will not be holding my breath over this reconciliation committee, because even the report says that at the weekend, the governor also revealed that he has in his possession a petition to depose the Emir of Kano. So I wonder how far-reaching this reconciliation committee will be.
Yeah, but I just said that petition may just be, fictitious. Some NGOs, who are those NGOs? What is their stake in the traditional politics of Kano?
Exactly. We'll see how this pans out. Let's move on to The Punch. The top headline, The Punch, says Religious Rights Violation Watch List. CAN, the Christian Association of Nigeria, JNI, FJ, lock horns over U.S. reports, which you guys have discussed earlier during the news. But then The Punch is out with a sequel to the editorial. And the editorial says, the Buhari editorial, more points to ponder. According to The Punch, to quote them, says, the editorial accomplished its purpose and bore other unexpected dividend. It has given a voice to the sense of helpless outrage that right-thinking members of society feel towards, if I could just go back to the first quote, towards the continued assault of the rule of law. And lastly, sent a strong message to the regime and its apologies that Nigerians, though silent, are not asleep. The second quote says, it is that the president names with the military rank which he earned and worked proudly for decades, if not the same as stripping him of his title as president. As for the word regime, the ordinary dictionary meaning of that word should suffice: a government or system of government, especially an autocratic one, elected or otherwise. Moving on, still on The Punch editorial, it stated that Buhari is neither a king nor an emperor. Nigeria is not a kingdom or an empire. Anyone who regards scrutiny or criticism from the public as an insult has no business seeking elective office. And finally, the editorial says, speaking at the Chatham House event in London in 2050, Buhari said, before you is a former military ruler and a converted Democrat who is ready to operate under democratic norms. Nigerians are wary of empty promises. The retired Major General should walk the talk. Doctor,
well, I mean,
follow-up to that editorial.
This is very interesting. The last time you brought this subject, you brought the counter response
from Daily Trust.
By Daily Trust. And if you look at the editorial today by Punch, Punch has not only repeated the offensive, Punch has affirmed its position. And clearly in one of those paragraphs, Punch is talking about his fierce editorial independence and commitment to the finest ethos of the journalism profession, which is a way of the paper saying you cannot intimidate us, either through official statements or through hired, interested parties or, persons within the media itself. And interestingly, Punch refused to refer to Daily Trust, except by innuendo. And I think that, that's a way of clearly taking the battle to the Daily Trust and embarrassing them, because, yes, Daily Trust has its platform. They are in a position to express their own opinion, benchmarking their own opinion with the opinion of The Punch. As I said, I mean, it's quite disturbing for everyone who has ever worked in any media house, because it will look like, oh, maybe this editorial is sponsored. Maybe this editorial, there is some hidden agenda before it. But I think Punch has consistently demonstrated courage and determination, in coming out to say, we stand by our story. This is precisely what this editorial is saying. Yeah. They are insisting that, look, the Buhari government does not respect the rule of law. It doesn't stand up to the finest standards of a democracy. And, based on the facts, they do not think that this is, a government that is working in the best interest of Nigeria. As I said, however, the Buhari administration can handle the matter differently. Public opinion form, a very important aspect of democratic governance. And, when contrarian opinions are expressed, the way to deal with it is not to go and hire people on the internet, which Punch also alludes to, to abuse the opposition. Then there should be constructive engagement between government and the media, because, both have the same responsibility to ensure that society moves forward. And the function of the media is enshrined in the Constitution. People always think that the media is an interloper unit. No, it is not. Section 22 of the Constitution, recognizes the media as a fourth estate of the realm in Nigeria to hold government accountable. And here is a Punch, again and again, standing up and putting his feet down and saying that, look, we are stakeholders in this business and we will speak truth to power. So I commend the Punch for their courage, for their refusal to be intimidated.
This one.
Very punchy. I'm just going to leave it at that.
Exactly.
If you're repulsive to insults, you have no place being seeking elective positions. I think they put it clearly there.
Okay. Because of time, let's see if I can just take one more local paper. The Daily Trust that says, the top headline that says,
okay, are you balancing it?
Yes, balancing it. Since it's the Daily Trust that made that allegation. So let's go to the Daily Trust that says 2,388 graduates with first-class degrees in 2019. Well, interesting story on the top right corner says CBN cuts ATM withdrawal charge to 35 naira from January 2020. That same story is in The Guardian. The top headline in The Guardian, that same story stated, why we cut bank charges by CBN. Some would readily say we should even get, because it's reducing 100 naira to 65, not to 35. We should also get to a point where
65 naira to 35 naira.
To 35 naira.
On ATM transactions.
Yes, ATM transaction. We get to put at a point in time where it should be zero.
I hope it's not one of those Greek gifts. You take one and then you give with one hand and take with the other. Should this really be celebrated?
Well, I mean, to the extent that the CBN says it wants to promote transparency, competition, and it wants to make financial services more accessible and affordable. Already, many Nigerians complain about too many charges.
Indeed.
You use a credit card, you are charged. You collect money from ATM, you are charged.
Card maintenance fee.
You do transfers, you are charged. But what the CBN has done is to reduce all of that, because the CBN itself must have realized that all these charges may be discouraging access to financial services and to the patronage of the banks. So to that extent, we may say that it's a good intervention. But as you said, let's keep our fingers crossed. Let's hope that they will not throw a curveball at some point.
Unfortunately, that's all we can take on these paper headlines.
Thank you
so
very
much.
much.
Ohi Odiai.